The hero King Inglis, who dedicated his entire life to building his country, is now approaching death. To award him for his honorable achievements, the Alistia appears and grants him one wish. Having never been able to master the blade, Inglis asks to be reincarnated in order to do so. In a blink of an eye, Inglis finds himself born in the far future as a daughter of the Yukis noble family. 6 years later, Inglis is discovered to be runeless, incapable of utilizing the runes that enable the use of magic in this era. She is therefore ineligible to become a knight. However, this fits in well with Inglis's plan. She instead decides to become the squire for her cousin, Rafinha Bilford, allowing Inglis to focus on pushing her limits. For Inglis, the challenges this familiar yet different world has to offer are instead opportunities for her to hone her skills and possibly become an extraordinary squire in the process. Suddenly, a bright light appears and a beautiful young woman, Divine Alistia, calls his name. They seem to know each other. Inglis says he had hoped to see her again before his death, and she told him she also wanted to see him. Alistia commends him for how he lived his life. Inglis says he couldn't have founded the kingdom without her blessings. Alistia praises him, tells him she wants to reward him for working as her divine knight, and calls him the hero king. She asks him to make a wish. Inglis tells her that if he had not been king, he would have improved his abilities and mastered the blade. He wishes to be reborn to master the blade. Alistia tells him that his wish will be granted. She holds him in her arms and says she looks forward to their reunion after he is reborn. Now in the future, a couple, Serena and Luke, happily welcome their baby girl, Inglis. Inglis, the king, realizes he has been reborn, but is shocked to find he was reborn as a girl. As soon as Serena leaves, Inglis grumbles that she can't even lift a sword as a baby. She checks her power and is relieved that it is still intact, as she says she can feel the ether within her. The ether is the foundation of the world, and everything is made up of it. Anyone who can control it basically controls the power of the world. Inglis had only learned the basics in her previous life, and is happy she can learn the rest now, although she is worried. She can't feel Alistia anymore. Inglis starts to float in the air, but she is interrupted by a voice saying, "A magicite beast is attacking." Serena opens the door and is shocked to see her baby floating, but Inglis drops back into her cot. Serena wonders if she is seeing things and picks up the baby. As Serena runs away with the baby in her arms, Inglis has a satisfying look on her face as she thinks about fighting the beast one day. A young woman, Irina, meets Serena at the castle gate. Serena asks her about her children, and Irina tells her that Raphael is with Rafinha inside the castle. Inside the castle, an 8-year-old boy, Raphael, the eldest son of the local lord, the Duke of Bilford, tells his mother Irina and his aunt Serena that he is happy they're fine. Irina asks him how his sister, Rafinha, is doing, and he tells her she is fine. Inglis looks out the window and sees the magicite beast, and her eyes glisten with pleasure. She jumps gleefully in her mother's arms, startling everyone. Inglis gets fussy as she can't wait to start fighting beasts. Serena tries to calm her down. The two women thought she was scared because it was her first time seeing a beast. They discussed it as Inglis screamed and scratched. Serena says she wishes the beast would disappear forever, and this makes Inglis angry as she wails because she needs to fight them. Raphael feels frustrated as he looks outside. He tells them he already received his rune, but still feels powerless because he can't do anything but watch. Runes are a mark of all knights. They are needed to wield artifacts, the weapon that can kill the magicite beasts. Inglis looks at the artifact, surprised because it didn't exist before. Irina tells Raphael that his rune is special, and only the chosen few possess that type of rune. She tells him he must survive no matter what. Suddenly, the magicite beast blasts its way into the castle. Irina is badly hurt and falls with baby Rafinha. Serena takes the baby from her and hands Inglis and Rafinha to Raphael. She pushes them out, tells Raphael to leave the castle, and pulls out her sword to fight the beast. Raphael informs her that the sword is useless against the beast, but Serena says she just needs to buy time and asks him to run. Serena attacks the beast, but she is no match for it. Raphael puts the babies behind a chair and runs to help Serena. She asks him to leave, but he refuses and says he needs to protect his loved ones. Inglis sits up and admires his courage. Raphael attacks the beast, but it breaks the castle pillars and hits him and Serena as they both pass out on the floor. The beast tries to finish them off, but Inglis cuts in. She says Raphael is gallant, and she can't let him die right now. She fearlessly stares at the beast as she summons her magic. The beast tries to attack her, but Inglis uses the ether from her eyes to strike it and blast it out of the castle, killing it. She jumps for joy, very proud of herself. Raphael witnesses the whole scene, and he stares at her in utter shock before fainting out of shock. Inglis hopes he'll think it was a dream once he wakes up. She also passes out because a baby's body is too weak for the kind of power she just used. Inglis wakes up as Luke and Serena are discussing the event, and Luke says it was a good thing that it wasn't a Prismer, as it would have destroyed the entire nation. Inglis is pleased and can't wait to face a Prismer. 5 years later, Inglis is now a young girl. She admires herself in a mirror, and thinks being reborn as a girl is a good thing. Irina and Serena interrupt and tell her she loves mirrors far too much. She runs to meet a 5-year-old Rafinha. Inglis greets Irina politely. Irina wonders how Inglis is 5 years old. and asks Serena what they taught the child. Rafinha tells Inglis that they should work hard in practice today. Later that day at the practice grounds, Rafinha tries to practice with a wooden sword, but she falls flat on her face. Inglis goes to help her and tells her she needs to watch how the knights do it, and they look at Raphael practicing. The two girls watch in admiration as Raphael, now 13 years old, practices his swordsmanship with such valor. Inglis admires him and hopes to spar with him someday. Luke and Raphael are discussing after his practice when a voice interrupts them. A man named Rambach walks in with his team, the Rambach Company, and Luke greets him and informs the knights that the Rambach Company will be joining them for a mock duel. Rafinha says she heard that merchants are always attacked by magicite beasts, and Inglis excitedly says they're lucky, which confuses Rafinha. She goes on to tell her that the merchants train with the knights too, so they can defend themselves. Rambach introduces his son, Raul, and Luke tells him Raul is the same age as Raphael. Raphael introduces himself to Raul, and they shake hands. The duel begins, and everyone is surprised because Raul appears to be strong. He already won 10 people in the duel. Raul starts to taunt the knights with a smug look on his face. The girls are disappointed with his attitude. Rambach claimed he got strong from fighting the beast while traveling for trade. Inglis doesn't believe it and says that it's obvious he is using some kind of magic. The truth was that Raul was actually using mana, a weak form of ether, to fight. Inglis realizes he was pulling a cheap trick by using binding magic to make his opponent weaker every time they look at his eyes. No one notices this, and Inglis thinks the people from this time have lost their knowledge of the concept of magic. Raul continues to fight the knights using magic. Suddenly he hits a knight, and the stick sword flies towards Rafinha, but Inglis catches it in time to save her, and Raphael thanks her. Raul continues to taunt the knights, making Luke furious. Raphael tells Raul that he'll fight him, and he agrees, lying that he hopes they have a fair contest. Inglis is fed up and explains to Raphael that Raul may be using some kind of trick. She asks him to fight without looking him in the eyes. Raphael agrees. Rafinha is worried about the fight, but Inglis reassures her that he'll be fine. Raphael attacks Raul without looking at his face, and everyone cheers as he overtakes him, but Raphael doesn't see the wall in front of him and hits it. Raul goes in happily, finishes him, and wins. Raul taunts him after the duel, and Rafinha falls to the ground crying. Inglis consoles her and goes to avenge him. Raul continues to taunt him in front of everyone, making Raphael ashamed. Inglis cuts in and challenges him. Raul makes fun of her and says he can't fight a little girl. She whispers and threatens to expose his magic use to the others, and he angrily accepts to fight her. Luke and Raphael try to dissuade her from fighting, but she tells her father that if he doesn't let her, she'll report him to Serena for buying a new vase, and he immediately agrees. As they face off, Raul uses magic as usual, but Inglis weakens the magic using the ether that surrounds her body. After dispelling the magic, she decides to fight him without her ether, but just with her plain skills. They face off, but Inglis beats him easily, even with her eyes closed, astounding everyone. Luke is thrilled as he thinks his child is a prodigy. Raul gives up, and the crowd erupts in cheers as everyone runs to hug her. 6 years later, Rafinha and Inglis have their baptism to get their runes in preparation to become knights. Runes are divided into ranks: special, greater, normal, and lesser. On the day of the baptism, Rafinha gets excited and starts rambling as she puts her hand inside the box, but her mother admonishes her. Rafinha was granted the Bow of Light, a greater rune, pleases her father. She jumps in excitement, showing it to Inglis. Now it was Inglis' turn, and Raphael was sure she would get a greater rune, or even a special one. Inglis hoped not, as she remembered what her mother told her. Serena hoped Inglis wouldn't get a special rune, because she would be forced to live her life for the sake of others. Inglis says she also feels the same, making her mother happy. She thinks about how the box works to give people runes. She explains that the people of this world have forgotten how to control mana, so the rune helps them pour the mana into an artifact and wield it. Inglis takes out her hands and happily announces to everyone that she got nothing, to their shock, but didn't get the rune because she uses ether, a higher form of magic, and not mana. The truth is that when the machine tried to imprint mana on her, she deflected it using ether. Luke is disappointed, but Serena is pleased. She apologized to her father, but he told her it was fine. Inglis then tells them she'll become Rafinha's squire. She says even without an artifact, she'll protect her. Inglis is over the moon because she gets to train freely and do whatever she likes. Everyone is so touched by her offer. Little do they know that everything is part of her plan. One night, 6 years later, it rains Prism Flow, a type of rainbow rain that turns animals and plants into magicite beasts, and sometimes into the Rainbow King, Prismer, the most powerful of them. The Prismer is so powerful that it can level a nation on its own. That night, as it rains, Rafinha and Inglis, now 12 years old, walk down a street as they talk about hunting beasts. Inglis wonders when she'll get to fight a Prismer, as she's tired of fighting magicite beasts. Rafinha tells her no one has seen a Prismer for over 20 years, and Inglis informs her they have been seen in other countries. She says she wishes she could travel there, Inglis is eager to know if it is possible for anyone other than the Holy Knight to defeat a prisoner. Rafinha tells her she is too extreme. Inglis looks up and shouts at the rain to give her stronger magic-eyed beasts or a prisoner. Rafinha tells her she finds it strange for a girl without a rune to be so strong. Inglis tells her that is their little secret. The next morning, the rain stops, and as the duo looks at the view from a tower, a large floating mountain, the Highland, passes by. The Highland is the home of people called Highlanders. They are the producers of the artifacts, and in exchange, the surface dwellers pay them with many crops and materials. Inglis looks at the Highland and points out that it didn't exist in her last life. She also wonders what happened to the kingdom of Silvar. She searched many books but couldn't find answers. Rafinha bows her head as if in prayer in front of the Highlander. Inglis asks why, and she says, if they make a wish in front of it, it will come true, and she tells her to try. Inglis doesn't believe but goes ahead to make a wish. Rafinha says she wished for Raphael to be healthy in the capital. Inglis loudly wishes for a worthy foe to show up. Rafinha points out that she has the soul of a warlord, and Inglis says yes, she does. Rafinha tells her that she should have wished for a boyfriend, although she will not accept any boyfriend for her except Raphael. That night, Inglis is all dressed up, and she admires herself in the mirror as usual. Rafinha barges in and looks at her in amazement. They discuss and compliment themselves. Inglis looks at her proudly, all grown up, feeling like a parent. As they walk to the party, Rafinha informs her that an inspector from the capital will be coming tonight, and he will be accompanied by a Highlander. She says the inspector comes every 2 or 3 years, but this is the first time a Highlander will be joining him. Inglis finds it suspicious and thinks the Highlanders may be trying to get rid of the royals and rule by themselves. She stops her thoughts and tells herself not to fall into old habits. Inglis looks up and sees everyone staring at her. She is embarrassed and runs to hold Rafinha for support. She says the looks of women don't bother her, but she hates the looks of men. The Duke of Bilford walks in and praises the girls. Then he introduces them to Leon, a holy knight who serves with Raphael. They talk about Raphael, and then a man greets them. The Duke introduces him as Lord Shioni, the inspector. He also introduces the envoy from the Highland, and to the girls' shock, it turns out to be Raal. They greet him, but Inglis has an eerie feeling about him showing up as an envoy. He notices their confusion and shows them a sign on his face to prove he is a Highlander. He wasn't born a Highlander. He tells them he gave almost all his money to the Highlands and gained citizenship. Raal says it cost him a lot, but a Highlander has more power than any noble on the surface, so it was worth it. Inglis says she isn't concerned about all of that. Raal asks her what she wants as he stares lustfully at her body, making her uneasy. She tells him she only cares about improving her abilities, and he laughs at her, saying she has no rune. Leon interrupts them and tells the girls he wants to show them an ultimate artifact, the Hieral Menace. The Hieral Menace is those who can transform into artifacts, and is used by only those with special runes. The girls are excited. As they walk, they discuss Rahal and his attitude. Leon says that most Highlanders are like that, and they feel surface dwellers are beneath them just because they produce the artifacts. Leon says it is better to just suck up to them and lick their boots. Rafinha reprimands him and says a holy knight should not talk like that. Leon apologizes for saying that, and Rafinha says she is sorry for speaking out of turn. They reach a fountain and see a beautiful young girl, Eris. Leon tells her to come inside the party, but she turns him down. Leon tells her he came with Raphael's family, who wanted to meet her. He introduced the girls, but suddenly Eris slapped him angrily, leaving the girls in shock. She then walks away from them. The girls were confused and asked him if they had done something, but he told them not to bother. Suddenly, they heard a loud scream and ran back inside to see a burnt patch on the floor. The Duke says that Lord Shioni has been killed. Raal smugly says he killed him for not respecting him. A young female knight kept crying as she told them it was her fault. She said Raal told her to come to his bedroom, but she didn't know what to say. So Lord Shioni tried to intervene, but Raal blasted him with fire. Inglis figures the Highlanders must have taught Raal and improved his magic. As Leon covers the body, Raal tells him to inform the capital that Shioni got sick and died. Leon says even the king of the country can't say a word against a Highlander, so they'll run with the story. Raal told the Duke to send the female knight to his bedroom, or he would blame him for killing Shioni. Inglis reprimands him and agrees to replace the knight as long as he leaves everyone else alone. He tells her to meet him in his mansion alone. He is happy that he'll finally teach Inglis a lesson. Later that night, on her way to see Raal, she runs into Eris. Eris asks her to run away. She says she can't let anything happen to Raphael's cousin. Inglis thanks her and says can handle him. Eris says she will handle it, but Inglis refuses. So Eris pulls out her sword and tells her not to take a step. Suddenly, Inglis starts to laugh, shocking Eris. She is actually very excited to fight a Hieral Menace. Eris is perplexed and thinks the girl must be crazy. Eris attacks her, but Inglis easily flips her over. They continue to fight, and Inglis finds her power impressive. Eren asks her why she looks happy, and she says she likes to fight strong people. Eris is surprised that a girl without a rune can fight her. Eris uses her power, and it breaks Inglis' sword and cuts her arm a bit. Inglis is still enjoying the fight, but Eris starts to apologize for cutting her. Inglis wonders what to do, so the fight can continue, so she asks her if she can sense mana, and Eris says yes. So Inglis turns her ether into mana, just to show her that they are equals. Eris is shocked and wonders how a runeless girl has mana. She realizes that Inglis never needed her help, so she tells her to go ahead and meet the Highlander, leaving Inglis in shock, as she regrets showing her power. She kept begging Eris to fight her. Suddenly, something with lightning rams Eris into a tree, shocking the duo. Eris screams, and Leon shows up. Inglis thought Leon was there to stop them from attacking Raul, but he told him it was the opposite. Leon tells them that the Highlanders are out of control, just like what Raul did to Shioni. He says it is his duty to protect people, but he feels weak when it comes to Highlanders, and that makes him sick. Eris says, but they need the Highlanders' help for artifacts, so they have no choice. Leon says he knows, and that's why he joined the Bloodchain Brigade, an anti-Highlander guerrilla organization. Eris tells him that the Highlanders have destroyed some countries because the Bloodchain Brigade killed one of their own. Leon tells her their goal is to turn their blood into chains and bring the Highland down to earth. The goal is to steal the artifact technology and spread it, so the Highlanders stop holding their power over the surface. The brigade has been trying to recruit Leon, but after what Raul did, he decided to join them. Leon says they require a Hiral menace, and so he needs to take Eris with him, but Eris refuses, saying that fighting the Highlanders will only bring chaos. He invites Inglis, but she turns him down, saying she is not interested in fighting for justice, but she'll side with Eris only because she gets to fight with him. She tells him he'll have to pass through her to get Eris. Leon activates his rune, and Eren tells Inglis to be careful, as his artifact is of high rank and makes lightning beasts. He commands some of the beasts to go after Eris while he handles Inglis. Since Eren is injured, he tries to distract Inglis so they can get Eris. Inglis attacks it, but Eris uses her sword to send lightning and blast it. Eris warns her that the lightning beasts explode when hit with force, so she'll need to hit them from a distance. Leon attacks Eren and taunts her. Inglis activates Aether and hits the lightning monster with a massive force, and it explodes. But as the dust settles, they see her still standing and even smiling. Inglis realized that she just needed to build her defense so strong that the explosion didn't hurt her, but she had to be fast as it didn't last. Eris screams at her, but Inglis tells her this method is faster as she finishes off all the beasts, and Eren commends her. Leon is impressed and tells her that her power may be on par with that of a monster, like the Prismer, and Inglis jumps in excitement, saying it's her life's dream to fight one, leaving them in shock. He praises her and says he found the weak point in the technique she just used. She asks him what he wants to do next, and he tries to activate the artifact again, but Inglis puts her foot down and stops him. He runs away, trying to activate it again, but she grabs his two arms and flips him over. But suddenly Rafinha falls from a window in Rawl's mansion, and a giant magikite follows behind her. Inglis races to save Rafinha because she made a promise that she would always protect her. She hits the beast, and it falls back. She asked what the girl was doing inside, and Rafinha said she came to help, but Raul started turning into a magikite. They are all surprised that a human turned into a magikite because the prism flow rain doesn't affect humans. Leon shows them a vial and says he drugged Raul with prism powder, made from condensed prism flow and created by the brigade. He tells them it is harmless to surface people, but it turns Highlanders into magikite, and there is no cure. Leon tells them to handle him, and leaves with his lightning beasts in a huge explosion. Inglis wants to fight the monster, using an ether strike, but she worries that it may destroy a part of the town as she rises to the sky and sees a patch outside town, perfect for an attack. The Duke and his knights join them, as he hugs his daughter and apologizes for leaving them alone. The magikite beast screams out Inglis's name. The knights try to attack it, but Inglis stops them and says Eris will do it, which confuses Eris. She drags Eris by the hand and tells her to follow her move. They run towards the beast and kick it right out of town, shocking everyone. Inglis starts clapping and praising Eris. She is confused, and as she says, she is not powerful enough to kick something that far. But Inglis quickly closes her mouth. When they left the others, Eris asked her why she did that earlier, and Rafinha said Inglis told her that if people learned that a runeless person could kill beasts, it would cause chaos. Inglis smiled, knowing that was a lie. She just didn't want anyone to make her protect the town. Inglis asks if the beast is as strong as Prismer, but Eris tells her no. Inglis mentions that she needs to defeat it in one hit if she wants to calculate if she's ready to fight a Prismer. She goes down and gathers ether in her hands, uses it to create an ether strike, and kills the beast in one hit. Eris is astonished, and Rafinha cheers her on. Inglis falls to the ground, tired because her body is still not strong enough to withstand her power. The two girls join her, and she says Rafinha was right about wishing on the Highland. The next morning, Eris promises them that she will tell the capital about Leon's betrayal and promises not to mention their town, Ymir. Rafinha thanks her, and Inglis asks her to also claim she killed the beast. Eris agrees, but tells Inglis that she will have to repay her debt someday. As Eris leaves, Inglis asks her why she got angry the day Leon introduced them. Eris, a bit uncomfortable, tells her she cannot tell her yet, and says she'll find out on her own one day, and she leaves them. 3 years later, the girls are now 15 years old. Rafinha and Inglis practice their skills. Inglis commends her and tells her she is getting stronger and worth dodging, and Rafinha feels a bit pricked. Later that day, Rafinha and Inglis bid farewell to their parents. They were leaving for the capital city, Hyrule, to enroll in the Knights Academy. The Duke tells Inglis to take care of Rafinha and whispers to her, telling her to drive the boys away. The journey to Hyrule is supposed to take them a month. One day, the duo stops over in a town, Nova. As they eat at a restaurant, the owner tells them that since the year before a Highlander took over, Nova, she says things have been way better since they took over. The girls ordered and ate a lot of food. Inglis informs Rafinha that they need to limit their eating, as they are running low on funds. Rafinha is shocked because they only left home 10 days ago. The owner asks them to go to the castle and get work. She says the castle is hiring knights to fight magicite beasts. The girls are happy, as the job is right up their lane. Later that night, they relax in a hot spring in the castle, as they discuss the hiring exam they did earlier in the day. They just had to fight a few knights. The castle offered them good rooms too. Inglis is a bit worried, but she doesn't tell Rafinha when she asks. She is worried that the flow of mana seems weird, like a small amount is being drained out from under people's feet. Rafinha offers to scrub her back, but ends up teasing her about her bosom and bottom, as she grabs Inglis's bosom playfully. They are interrupted by a stunning woman, and the girls are surprised to see the Highlander sign on her head. She introduces herself as the magistrate of Nova, Ceylin. The girls are surprised, and Rafinha apologizes for intruding into the hot spring. She tells them it's fine, and that she also wants to meet them. They're interrupted by 3 children, Reno, Miyumi, and Chico, who ask Ceylin if they can take a bath. A woman, Mimosa, barges in and tries to take them, but Ceylin tells her to let them and thanks her for her help. Later, Ceylin tells Rafinha and Inglis that the children are orphans and she can't leave them on the street, and Rafinha praises her. Inglis asked her about the mana, and she told her she knew nothing. Inglis hopes there is a powerful person underground, draining the mana so she can fight them. Ceylin tells them she needs them to help her take care of a problem, and they agree. She tells them that she sent away the knights who worked for the old ruler because they were becoming violent toward the townspeople, and now they seem to be planning something. The next morning, she takes them to their hideout. A man walks out to greet them, and Ceylin introduces him as Hawker, the last knight commander. Hawker's men surround them as he taunts Ceylin. Rafinha fires her light boule into the sky, and Hawker is surprised that they came with a greater rune. A young woman, Sistia Rouge, shoots Rafinha's light bow and drops down to join them. Inglis realizes she is a Hyrule menace, and she smiles happily. Hawker gives orders, and his men attack. Inglis fights them off as she happily contemplates fighting a Hyrule menace. She tells Rafinha to protect Ceylin while she handles Sistia. Rafinha tells her she must be enjoying herself because she is grinning from ear to ear. Sistia tells her she stands no chance. Inglis converts either to mana, showing her power. Sistia and Ceylin are astonished. Rafinha uses her light bow to rain light arrows on the knights. Sistia and Inglis prepare to fight. As they mutually agree, they have been bored without any good enemies to fight. Sistia finds her much too bratty, as Inglis looks like she's enjoying herself. She tells her to draw her sword, but Inglis tells her there is no need. They face off, but Sistia quickly notices that Inglis is too powerful and moves fast. Inglis quickly catches up with her and hits her with a powerful blow. Sistia stands back up, and Inglis notices she is powerful for withstanding the hit. Sistia asks her why she works for a Highlander, and Inglis tells her she is just working for a little money to continue on her way. She tells Sistia that she doesn't think Ceylin is bad, and Sistia tells her she needs to look beyond the surface. Inglis mentions that she suspects something about the mana and asks her, but she refuses to answer and tells her to find out for herself. Inglis says she is not interested in playing hero. Sistia gets angry and asks her what power is power without justice, but Inglis just shrugs and says she gets to have fun, making Sistia enraged. She attacks her using mana by creating a dimensional hole and passing her spear through it. Inglis dodged the attack swiftly, and Sistia commended her. She then created multiple holes and attacked Inglis, but she swiftly dodged the attacks. Inglis grabs the spear, stopping the attack, but it was a trap as Sistia sends her feet through another hole, hitting her off balance. Inglis is surprised she can also use her body in the holes, but she is still enjoying their duel. She tries to attack again, but Inglis uses ether and hits her with a powerful blow as she falls defeated and ashamed. Just then, Rafinha walks in, and Sistia grabs her neck and asks Inglis to let her go. Inglis tells her to go. As she takes off, Inglis informs her that the next time they meet, she can run or do anything she likes, but she will be killed the next time she touches Rafinha. Sistia asks for her name, and Inglis tells her. She also introduces herself and takes off. Inglis goes to check on Rafinha. Outside, the knights have been captured. The next day, Cylon thanked them for their help. Inglis asks if the knights will be executed. She tells them no, and says she will let them work for her if they decide to change. Rafinha tells her that she is too nice. Later, Mimosa serves them a pleasant tea, and they talk as they enjoy their tea. Later on, Saline leads them to a place under the castle. They are surprised to see large magic circles draining the mana. Saline tells them that it is a levitation circle, the core of the highland, and that it absorbs mana from the surrounding area and breaks the land away from the earth into the sky when it has absorbed enough. She says it will become a new highland. Inglis remembered what Sistia told her and realized this was what she meant. Rafinha asks her what has become of the people who live here now. Saline tells her that they will leave or become slaves. She informs them that she intends to plead with the high-ups to let those who live here stay freely when the town rises. She says she'll fight the highlands if she has to. Rafinha asks her why she is telling them, and Saline tells them that she wanted someone to forgive her and that she felt guilty that being here meant the city would be destroyed one day. She asks Rafinha what she thought about it, but Rafinha passes the question to Inglis. Inglis tells Rafinha to make a choice. She tells her she will go with whatever she chooses, as she herself doesn't care much for justice. Rafinha tells Saline that she believes her and says that she can call her to help her fight once the land takes flight. Saline hugs her and thanks her, and she winks at Inglis and tells her this is what she chose. Inglis says it is fine and that if things go well, they may get to fight a Highland army. That night, Saline stumbles into the fields and turns into a magicite. They hear the explosion and rush outside to see a giant magicite. They are shocked to see that it is Saline. Rafinha wonders how, and Inglis tells her to remember what happened to Raoul. Inglis wonders where she was drugged. Just then, Mimosa laughs wickedly on top of the castle, and Inglis remembers that it was in the tea from earlier. Mimosa says that Highlanders killed her son, and this was her revenge. The magicite beast blasts her to death. The knights try to attack it, but Inglis tells them to evacuate the castle and leave the beast to her. Inglis tells Rafinha to block the beast from firing any more beams. She runs towards the beast, calling Saline and hoping she stops, but it tries to fire beams. Rafinha shoots the light arrow and blocks it. It tries to shoot another, but Inglis hits the beast on the head. It shoots a beam towards her, but she deflects it using ether. Sistia shows up and joins in the attack. She attempts to kill it, but Inglis stops her. She realizes she is with the brigade and blames her for giving Mimosa the prism powder. A voice interrupts them and tells her that all the members always carry the powder. Inglis turns to see a masked man. He tells her he has no name and that he is the leader of the brigade. He says they are here to kill the Highlander, and Inglis tells him she won't allow him to hurt Saline. The masked man tries to kill the beast, but Inglis hits him. She notices that he is very powerful. They start to fight each other, moving so swiftly. Inglis enjoys the experience and wishes they could do it for a long time. Sistia tries to kill the beast, but Rafinha fires at her. Just then, Reno, Miyumi, and Chico call out to Saline, crying. She puts out her hands to release beans, but stops herself. She then attempts to kill herself, but Inglis stops her as Sistia reprimands her. She tells her she can't let Saline die, and she tells the masked man that she wants to try something. Furthermore, she tells him that if she fails, they can kill the beast. The man strikes a deal with her and tells her that when the fight is over, she must leave the city. He also tells her he intends to destroy the levitation circle, and she cannot interfere. Inglis agrees. The man tells Sistia to distract the beast, and Inglis tells Rafinha to help her. She made Inglis promise that she would save Saline. As the duo distracted the beast, Inglis converted all her aether into mana and used it to freeze the beast. She falls to the ground, completely drained. She wonders how they will get the beast out of the town, and the masked man offers to help. He uses aether to make her a miniature. Inglis is surprised that he is a divine knight. She says the goddess Alistia's blessing is needed to create one, but she hasn't felt her in this realm. He hands the miniature-sized beast to them and tells them he has drained all her power, but it will be impossible to return her to her original size. Inglis tells him she wouldn't have been able to do what he just did. He tells her to leave the town as promised. Rafinha asks him what would happen to the people in the town, and he informs her that their only enemies are the Highlanders. The next morning, Reno, Miyumi, and Chico bid farewell to Saline in tears, and Inglis promised them that Saline would return one day. On the way, the miniature beast kept tickling Inglis as it jumped in and out of her bosom, and Rafinha teased her about it. Rafinha suggested they call her Lin instead. Rafinha sighs, confused, as she tells Inglis that she doesn't know who was wrong or right with what happened in Nova. She screamed in frustration. She asks Inglis how it didn't bother her, and Inglis says that she just thinks about getting stronger and doesn't care about anything else, and they continue to discuss as they drive off. Next up, the duo stops at Almond Cathedral. The duo is seen inside the cathedral looking at a frozen prismer as Inglis's eyes light up with excitement. The prismer was defeated a long time ago. They froze, but couldn't move, so the cathedral was built to keep watch over them. Inglis excitedly wondered if they could melt it so it would start moving. Rafinha admonished her, telling her she could be arrested for saying things like that. Suddenly, a soldier calls out to them. startling Rafinha. He tells them that they should remain inside, as magicite beasts are attacking the town. Inglis gets excited and runs out to have some fun. Rafinha wonders why she is overly excited today. When Inglis reaches outside, she sees that the town is being overrun with magicite beasts, and her eyes glisten with excitement. One of the beasts flies towards her, but a young girl, Leona Ulfa, jumps in and kills it. Leone reprimands her for trying to fight the beast without a rune. Inglis thinks that, with the girl's skills, she must have spent a lot of time in training, and notices she has a greater rune. Leone slashes the beasts with her artifact swiftly, as Inglis admires her technique. One of the beasts tries to blast her with a beam, but she plants the artifact as it grows bigger, and blocks the beam. Inglis helps her, and they defeat the beast. She continues knocking them down from the sky, and Leone slashes them from below. They commend each other after they are done. Inglis introduces herself, and Leone does the same. Inglis wonders where she heard the name Ulfa from. They shake hands and decide to work together, as they hit and slash their way through town, killing the magicite beasts. One of the beasts tries to attack Leon from behind, but Rafinha kills it. Inglis introduced Leone, and Leone thanked her. Rafinha introduced herself to Leone. Leone realizes that she is Raphael's sister, and Inglis notices the change in her expression. A knight thanked them for helping and offered to reward them, but he said just Inglis and Rafinha, as he called Leone a clan of traitors. Rafinha objected and told the knight that Leone helped. He told them that she was the sister of Leon Ulfa, a holy knight who betrayed the country. The girls realized who the knight was talking about. Rafinha tells him they don't need his reward and makes jokes about him. Just then, a flying machine lands, and a 23-year-old Raphael alights with a young girl, and the knight tells him about Leone. Raphael admonishes him for talking about her like that. Rafinha happily runs to hug her brother, and Inglis greets him as she admires him. Raphael looks at her, mesmerized. The young girl he came in with teases him. He introduces them to Ripple, a higher almenas. He tells them they should talk over a meal, and Inglis jumps with excitement. As they ate, the girls filled him in with all their stories. Raphael can't believe they survived meeting the leader of the brigade. A cute Lin also joins them on the table, and she jumps into Leone's bosom. They continue to talk about what the knight said to Leone. She tells them he was the first holy knight from the town, and they were proud of him, but he killed a Highlander, and also an inspector. Inglis and Rafinha are surprised. That's the story that was told to the public. Leone is surprised and asks if they met her brother. Rafinha tells her that Leone isn't a bad person, and that he was fun to talk to, and Inglis also agrees. She thanks them, but says that it is still true that her brother abandoned his post. Leone then promised to become a knight and capture him. Raphael tells them that Leone is also going to the Knight Academy, making them excited. Leone tells them that magicite beasts have strangely been appearing in town a lot. Raphael tells her not to worry, as it will be handled. Later that day, flying aircraft airlifted the frozen Prismer from the cathedral. Raphael tells them that the Pismer may be drawing the magicite beast to the town, so they'll be taking it somewhere else. Ripple tells Inglis that Eris told her about a crazy powerful girl, and tells her not to worry as she will keep it a secret too, and Inglis thanks her. As the two girls discussed fighting the Prismer, Ripple tells her that the Prismer locked itself inside that ice, and says she witnessed it herself. She jokingly tells Inglis that Eris and herself are old women. Inglis says that she too is an old man, but she doesn't tell Ripple. Ripple tells her that the Prismer may awaken soon. Inglis tells her it is a brilliant idea to take the Prismer to the border, killing two birds with one stone, because the magicite beast will swarm the borders and act as a defense against invasion. She says she is upset that the beasts and the enemy army will destroy each other, having all the fun by themselves, but she happily tells Ripple to call her when the Prismer awakens, and they make a pinky promise. Raphael tells them that they have to say goodbye because they need to supervise while the girls take the Flying Gear Port, a flying ship, back to the capital. As they leave, Inglis prays the primer wakes soon so she can fight. The scene opens up in the capital city at the Royal Knights Academy. Prince Wine welcomes the students, addresses them, and gives them advice. After the orientation, the students gather at the practice grounds as the principal. Miliera addresses them. Miliera has a special class rune. Some students start to gossip about Leone, and Rafinha tries to intervene, but Inglis stops her. Miliera tells them that the orientation will begin shortly. Suddenly, the ground beneath them starts to shake and rise up. She asks them if they all left their artifacts behind, and they tell her they all did. Miliera raises her artifact and activates a gravity field that pulls them down and makes their bodies heavy, and she tells them that they will do their combat training inside the field. Inglis's eyes glistened with excitement for the training. At a finger flick, giant machine monsters appear, and she tells them they are going to play a game of tag. She says if they can avoid being tagged, they get a whole month of free food. At the mention of food, Rafinha and Inglis decide that they have to win, and Miliera starts the hourglass. Immediately, Inglis already kicks one of the machines out of the field and swiftly kicks out the rest of them. Everyone cheers her on. Miliera tells them that kicking out the machines doesn't count, and Inglis disagrees with her. She begs them to do it once again, and Inglis does the same thing. She whispers and tells Inglis that she will give her 3 months of free food if she stops kicking the machines out. Inglis tells her to give it to 3 people, and Miliera agrees. They go again, and this time, the machine kicks everyone off, leaving Inglis. They surround and charge toward her, but she jumps into the air as they hit their heads together, and all Inglis can think about is the free food. The students are astonished as they say pretty things about her. Miliera is impressed and hovers around her. She tells her she'd like to have a word with her, and Inglis tells her fine as long as she keeps her side of the deal about the free food for her friends. That night, Inglis and Rafinha talked about the food they just ate as they walked to their rooms. Rafinha said that Alone should have waited for dessert before leaving. They see a girl, Liselot, telling Miliera that she can't be roommates with Leone. She said the school shouldn't have allowed her to enroll. Miliera tells her that they found nothing wrong with Leone. Miliera asked the students if anyone wanted to switch rooms, and Rafinha told her that Leone could stay with them as she started to reprimand the students. Inglis tells her to calm down. As she gets heated up, she drags Leone and leaves. Inside the room, Leone offers to sleep on the ground, but the girls tell her that they can all share the bed. Rafinha quickly falls asleep, leaving the other 2 girls awake. They discuss, and Inglis tells Leone that she is not alone anymore, and Leone thanks her with tears in her eyes. The next morning, the trio enjoyed a wholesome breakfast with a pile of plates in front of them. The other students stared in astonishment. Rafinha and Inglis continue to talk about the food, and Leone just stares at them in amazement. One of the students, Rati, comes in complaining that he overslept, and another girl, Pram, bickers with him about oversleeping and not waking her up. Rati is shocked to see Inglis and Rafinha's table piled with plates. Leone tells him that she only had 1 plate, and that shocks him even more that 2 girls ate all that food. Rati tells Inglis that she was amazing during the orientation practice. Pram gets jealous and slightly pushes him. Rati introduces himself, and Pram and the trio introduce themselves too. Rati complains that people keep staring, and Leone apologizes and tells him that it is because of her. He tells her that he is not from this country, so it doesn't concern him. He tells them that he was Alucard and Pram too. He continues to talk to Inglis, but Pram angrily drags him out by his ears and tells him they're late for class, and Rafinha says they'll join them too. The students gather on the practice ground, and the instructor introduces himself as Margoose. He tells them they will be doing a flying gear exercise. He continued to talk to them about strength and power in the loudest voice possible. He says they'll be running to the flying gear dock and dashes out with speed, leaving them shocked. As they ran, Leone told Rafinha that the dock was quite far. After everyone leaves, Inglis stands back, planning a strategy. She decided to try using Miliera's gravity effect. She converts ether to mana, activates the effect, and dashes out with speed as she runs past Rati, leaving him shocked. Leone asks about Inglis, and Rafinha tells her not to worry. Before she finishes the sentence, Inglis dashes past them, leaving Leone surprised. Liselot also increases her pace and runs past them, making Rafinha pissed as she also picks up her pace. Margoose is so ahead of them and laughs, telling them not to hurt themselves, but Inglis swiftly dashes past him. She comes back and takes permission before continuing ahead of him, and Margoose is impressed. Rati also joins them, tired and sweating a lot. Margoose commends them and says their set has a lot of potential. Leone is glad that they have caught up with Inglis, but Rafinha tells her that Inglis is not using her power at the moment. Rati tries to keep pace with Inglis, but she dashes out and speeds ahead, surprising them. Ratio can't keep up and says that he might actually die if he continues. They reach the door, and Margoose instructs them on how to fly the flying gear. Inglis offers to man the engine, and the girls agree. Inglis drives the flying gear with precision. As they enjoy the view, Rati zooms past them, teasing Inglis that he is better at flying. Inglis immediately uses her magic to zoom off, leaving him behind. She tells him that she hates to lose. Margoose is impressed with the students. As Inglis flies around, Rati admires her and even calls her pretty, making Prom very jealous. Liselot continues to stare at the trio everywhere they go. That evening, Miliera tells them that some of them have been recommended for a special test and calls Rafinha, Liselot, Leone, Pram, and Inglis. She tells them it's a huge honor to be recommended for the test. She tells them she will be sending them to the Labyrinth of Trials. A special place was created using artifacts, and it will test their physical and mental strength. She tells them that they need to go in through a door and make it back out in time. Miliera continued to talk about the test. Pram tells Inglis that she won't let her best her in this test, but Inglis doesn't get why she needs to tell her that. She realizes that Pram sees her as an opponent, but she has no reason why. Miliera taps her artifact and the doors to the labyrinth appear. The girls all pick a door and step in. Inside the labyrinth, Inglis sees all the enemies she fought, and they disappear as soon as she tries to attack them. She then sees memories of her youth and a person from her past life, Randall. who was next in line for the throne, attacks her, but she fights him off. Inglis decided it was time to leave the labyrinth, as she didn't want to see more memories from her past life. She uses her magic to blast a hole through the top of the labyrinth. She meets Liselot in her own labyrinth. Liselot wonders how she destroyed the place and asks who she is, but Inglis tells her that she is just an ordinary squire to Rafinha. Liselot tells her to tell Rafinha not to hate her anymore. She also says that she feels bad for what she did to Leon. Inglis agrees. She will tell her. They both agree that they're tired of the labyrinth, and Liselot activates her artifact, revealing a set of white wings. Inglis is impressed. She picks Inglis, and they leave. They ran into Leon's labyrinth, and she was having a hard time as she was trying to capture her brother, but her family was against her. Inglis goes to help her as they try to attack her. The illusion comes back, and as Inglis tries to attack them, Liselot steps in and handles them. She tells them that she is a stranger, so it is better if she kills them. Leon thanked her, and Liselot apologized for how she treated her before. Inglis tells Leone that Liselot is actually a nice person. Liselot offers her hand to Leon. She picks both of them up, and they leave the labyrinth. Miliera is surprised to see 3 of them come out of the same door, and wonders if the labyrinth is broken. The girls all agreed to keep their story straight, as they didn't want to go back there, and they told her that the place was intact, so she agrees that they passed. Rati tells them that prom lost, and the labyrinth threw her out as soon as they started. Rafinha comes out of her door in time. They congratulate each other, and Rafinha says that the place was exhausting. She says that she will eat a lot of food, and then go to sleep. Inglis teases her about her sleeping habits. Leone apologizes and says it's her fault the girls can't sleep comfortably. Rafinha tells her it's okay, and it is not her fault. Liselot cuts in and tells them that Leon can come back to her room. That night, they moved her things back. The girls stand outside Liselot's room, discussing as they gather the courage to enter. Liselot opens the door and welcomes Leon. All smiles, but Leone doesn't feel too comfortable. She closed the door, leaving the other 2 girls outside. She opens the door back up and tells them she was just joking. Inglis calls her silly, but she tells her that she just has a good sense of humor. They all go in and find Liselot's room amazing, with different furnishings. Rafinha tells them she brought party things so they can have a celebration for making up, and Inglis tells them she brought a lot of food. Liselot is shocked. They still want to eat after all they ate for dinner earlier. The girls enjoyed a good time as they giggled and partied. The next morning, Miliera tells Rafinha and Inglis that they have been invited to attend a party held in the capital for the new Highlander emissary. Liselot asks Leon to be her +1 at the party, but she has second thoughts about attending, so Rafinha begs her to join them. Later that day, the girls go dress shopping. Rafinha tells them to pick anything they want, as Raphael is paying. They hear shouts of magic. White beasts attack and run to help, but run into Eris and Ripple. Eris has already defeated the beast. She tells them it was a former demi-human, just like Ripple, and says that they are also affected by prism flow. Ripple tells them that it doesn't affect her because she is a Hiral menace. She looked a bit unwell but told them she was fine. But Eris told them that there had been several beast appearances and Ripple got sick every time. Leon thinks it might be the Bloodchain Brigade, and Eris tells her that they'll inform the new emissary to help them look into it. She hands them a small pouch of money and tells them that Raphael couldn't make. Several days later, they are all dressed for the party, looking stunning. Leon, Rafinha, and Liselot complimented Inglis, as she looked so beautiful. She looks at herself in a mirror and whirls around admiring her beauty, although Leone and Liselot point out that that is a rare sight. Rafinha and Inglis's stomachs grumbled because they ate nothing all day. In preparation for the feast, Miliera tells the girls she knows the emissary personally and hopes to ask him for new equipment. She knew him from a foreign exchange program when Prince Vine went to school there, and she accompanied him as his guard. The girls ask her if they can ask him about the brigade, but Liselot tells them that it may be hard for him to talk to ordinary students. Inglis tells them they can investigate the brigades on their own. As they reach the castle, Rafinha tries to run inside for food, but she falls flat on her face. Raphael walks out and picks her up as she grabs him in a warm embrace. Inglis greets him, and he looks at her, completely mesmerized. The duo stared at each other as Inglis couldn't help but admire him. Lynn pops out of her bosom, making Raphael embarrassed as Rafinha teases him for looking. Suddenly, the girls' stomachs start rumbling again, and Raphael leads them in to eat. As the walk passed, people started staring at Inglis and complimenting her. But suddenly their stomachs grumbled wildly, and Raphael acted like it was his, to the girls' delight. They see the table packed with different varieties of food, and their eyes glow excitedly. Just then, magic-eat beasts fall from the sky, destroying the table with food. As everyone scurries away and the others prepare to fight, Rafinha and Inglis search for food to salvage. Inglis successfully finds meat and gives some to Rafinha, as they munch on it in the midst of the chaos. Leone calls for their attention, saying they need to protect the guests. Inglis is about to fight the beasts, but Raphael cuts in and swiftly cuts the beast as she admires him. The girls commend him for his skill, but Inglis starts explaining the attack, cut by cut. It turns out he was too fast for the others to see him, but she saw everything, even the total number of cuts. Raphael realizes that she never needed saving as usual. Inglis challenged him to a fight, but he turned her down. Raphael leaves them to go protect the prince and emissary, while the girls handle the rest. The girls grumble about not being able to have fun in their pretty dresses, but Inglis tells them she is having fun already. The girls laugh and continue discussing as Miliera looks at them, impressed that they show no fear in the situation. Inglis tells them she fights like a proper lady today, and kills off the beast with a finger, shooting beams at them very poised. The beats increase and almost overwhelm the others, but Inglis handles them fast, too fast for even the others to see, leaving them surprised. Rafinha asks if they can eat now that they are done, and Miliera lets them. The duo quickly grabs food and stuffs their mouths. They rush to another room as Liselot tells them something is wrong with Ripple. They see Ripple covered in some type of energy field. Eris explains to them that she collapsed, and suddenly the beasts started to drop. Some of the knights start complaining about the situation, and mention that they need to send her back to the Highlanders and get a new one. Rafinha gets furious and reprimands them, but Eris stops her. Theodore, the new Highland emissary, tells them that what happened to Ripple may be the hierarchy. Miliera tells them that the Highland was divided into two factions, the Grand Duchy, which makes the artifacts and flying gear, and the second one, the Hierarch, which refuses to share technology with the surface. She explained that the two factions sent Hiral Menaces to each country to maintain the balance of power. Theodore says that Ripple was created by the hierarchy, and this may be the kill switch they kept in place. Eris furiously expresses her distaste for the Highlanders and what they did to her. Rafinha gives her a speech about how they need Highlanders technology to protect themselves. Leona and Inglis are proud of her for her speech. Rafina later apologizes to Eris for speaking out of turn. Theodore promises them that he will do his best to heal Ripple. Eris thanks Rafinha for speaking out earlier. Theodore compliments Rafinha for speaking her mind and tells her she is also pretty, making her blush. Inglis runs and stands in between them, deciding this is the time to chase the boys away, like she promised the Duke. Theodore realizes that the two girls are the same ones who saved his sister Salen. Out on the balcony, they discuss what happened to Salen, and he thanks them for saving her life and says he will now take her with him and find a cure. They try to hand the cute Lin over, but she bites his hand and looks at him sternly, indicating she doesn't want to go with him. She jumps back into Ingris's bosom and starts fussing, making Theodore look away. Later on, he decided to leave Seelan in their care. Ripple wakes up feeling so bad for what she did to everyone. She tells Prince Mean to destroy her if he can't find a way to stop her from shocking them. He tells her that he will never do that to someone who has protected them for so long. Raphael tells them that he will find a place for her and post guards to protect her. Inglis suggests to Prince Wine that he send her to the academy instead. She tells him that they may lose a lot of manpower by posting guards separately. Rafinha commends her idea, but Raphael doesn't like the idea of putting her in the middle of the capital. Theodore tells him that sending her there is a good idea, as Miliera has a lab at the academy, so they can find out how to help her. Miliera agrees with him. Inglis promises that they will protect her and defeat any beasts that show up without putting the capital at risk. Rafinha is ecstatic about the idea. Prince Wine agrees and entrusts her to the academy. Ripple thanks everyone for trying to help her. Leone tells Liselot that she never knew Inglis cared so much, and Liselot tells her that Inglis only did all that because having Ripple close means she gets to fight magic-ite beasts. Leone realizes that she must be correct. The next morning, the students ran laps with Margoose breathing down their necks. Ripple is also seen with them as she sits on a flying gear with him. The students complain about the training. It turns out that Inglis is the one carrying the flying gear while running, and they wonder how she never breaks a sweat. Miliera calls for a general assembly with the upperclassmen also present. She announces that Ripple will be staying at the academy. Inglis notices a third-year student with a special class rune, and Lieselotte tells her that he is Silva Aaron, younger brother of Latus Aaron, head of the Royal Guard. She says he is the only special class rune bearer at the academy. Inglis chatters in excitement, thinking about how nice it would be to fight him. Miliera informs them that each grade will form a team and keep watch over Ripple in turn. She shows them new artifacts and says they must use them to put up a barrier before engaging any beast so it doesn't get loose in the capital. They all take the weapons, except for Rafinha, who does not find a bow. Inglis tries to take a weapon, but Silva stops her. He says that a runless squire can't use them. Rafinha tries to reprimand him, but Inglis stops her. Silva asks her to leave the team. He also complains about Leone and calls her the relative of a traitor. Rafinha gets furious and tells him off. Lieselotte also reprimands him and calls him shallow-minded. Miliera intervenes and tells Silva that he went too far. Inglis tells him they should duel so he can determine their strength, but Silva laughs her off. Suddenly a voice interrupts them, and a girl, Yua, a squire, looking bored out of her mind, asks to be excused, saying she doesn't care enough to participate. She turns to leave, but Miliera stops her. Her attitude surprises Inglis. Miliera tells Yua that she is the best second-year student, so they need her. Yua decides to stay. Inglis tells her that, as squires, they should duel with Silva, but Yua declines. Silva and Yua start to taunt each other, and Inglis wonders if something has already happened between them. Miliera tells her that the duo dueled, but Yua won, and since then they have never seen E2A. They all continue to discuss, and suddenly Ripple faints. Miliera quickly puts up a barrier as magic sight beasts start dropping from the sky. Silva smugly asks Miliera if the third-year students should have taken care of it, and she agrees. He then announces that no one but the third year can lay a hand on the beasts. Inglis ignores him and kicks the beasts swiftly. He stops her, but she jokingly tells him that she used her foot instead of her hands. She continues to kick the beasts as the third-year boys admire her. Silva pulls out his artifact, a gun, and shoots the beasts, killing them instantly. Inglis finds the gun artifact rare. Rafinha shoots one of Silva's targets and jokingly points out that she didn't use her hands. He screams furiously, but Rafinha angrily reprimands him, making the other very happy. More beasts attack, and Silva orders the third year to engage, but Leone and Lieselata kill the beast and taunt Silva. He gets enraged, but Miliera steps in and tells everyone to fight. Everyone starts to attack the beasts. Yua just watches them fight until Rafinha calls out her name. Inglis tries to attack one of the beasts, but Yua quickly slaps it down with her hand, killing it instantly. Inglis is surprised. They attack the best together, and Yua commends her. Inglis tells her that they should fight someday, but Yua flat out refuses. They continued to fight the beast swiftly, and Inglis kept on begging her as they went. The upperclassmen just stare at the girls, gawking and not doing anything. Silva shouts at them furiously. They finish off the beasts and check on Ripple's condition. Miliera thanks them for helping. She asks Theodore to find a solution because the school may not hold up for much longer. Silva blames Yua and Inglis for hitting the beasts into the school walls. Inglis introduces herself to Yua, and a boy, Morris, tells her that Yua doesn't bother to remember names. Yua calls him Bean Sprout. Inglis tells her to call her anything, and Yua calls her bosom. Yua and Silva continue their bickering as Inglis thinks about being called by her bosom. Later that day, they all discussed what Yua called them. She called Ripple, Animal Ears, Rafinha, Little Devil, Leone, Bosom Number 2, and Lieselot, Curly Hair. Ripple finds the name hilarious. They continue to discuss Silva being so arrogant as they play a game of chess with each other. Inglis excitedly suggests to Ripple that they should duel. The other girls reprimand her, but Ripple agrees. They meet Miliera to get permission, and she agrees, making Inglis very happy. Theodore hands over an artifact used by only the Greater Rune class. He tells her it will help create a pocket space for them to duel, and also help as a space to fight beast attacks. Leone tries to activate it as Miliera instructs her, and Inglis just cheers her on in excitement for the fight. Leone activates the pocket space, and the girls notice it looks like the labyrinth. They begin to fight, and the students watch in amazement at the girl's power. Ripple pulls out her artifact, a gun, and shoots, but Inglis forms an ice blade to ward them off. They continue to fight, as others watch on in surprise. A stray bullet almost hits the others, but Miliera stops it and tells Inglis they should fight with moderation. Ripple keeps her distance as they continue to fight, and Inglis tries to get close, but she pulls out a second gun, taking Inglis by surprise. As Ripple continues to shoot, Inglis contemplates what to do. She deflects the bullets and sends them flying back to her. Ripples loses attention, and Inglis takes her by surprise and kicks her hard. She flies toward the walls of the space, but Miliera puts up a barrier to protect her. She thanks Miliera for saving her. Miliera points out that when she hit her barrier, it felt like the energy was drained. Theodore suggests they test the theory, so Lieselata activates the artifact. Inglis tries to remind them about the fight, but Rafinha stops her and says that they are talking about important things. Ripple touches Lieselot, but nothing happens. Theodore tells Miliera to take Lieselata's artifact and activate it so they can test another theory. She does, and immediately Ripple touches the wings. They disappear, and her hands absorb the energy, so Miliera figures out that she only has that effect with special class runes. Ripples start to feel funny. Theodore explains that once Ripple absorbs enough mana, it summons magicite beasts. Suddenly, she falls to the ground, and her energy opens a portal. Ripple apologizes and asks Inglis to handle them for her as she passes out. Leone screams out and tells them she can't hold the pocket space anymore, and her power fades, closing the space. Suddenly, a large demi-human magicite lands on them, destroying a part of the building. Miliera screams after her. Office is destroyed by the crash. Inglis tells Rafinha to be careful, but with the happiest face possible, as she admires the beast. Rafinha points out that her face and words are telling two different tales. Inglis notices that the beast has a different beam color from Celine's. The beast opens its mouth as it prepares to fire beams at them. Inglis warns them, and Miliera tells her to stop the east from releasing the beams. Inglis summons the ether and kicks the beast into the sky. She apologized to Miliera for leaving a hole in the roof. They discuss their next course of action for when the beast lands back. Inglis tells them she'll handle it. The beasts start to fall back down towards the schoolyard, and just then, they notice Yua walking right under it. They all start waving and try to call her attention. Yua finally looks up and sees it moving towards her swiftly. She slashes it with her hands, kills it instantly without effort, and walks away like nothing ever happened. The others just stare at her in amazement. Inglis is extremely impressed. Later on, Theodore tells them that they won't be seeing any beasts from Ripple for a while. He explains how she absorbs mana. Inglis adds that summoning the beast drained her mana, so until she builds up more, they won't be seeing any beasts for now. Leone asked him why the summoned beasts were all former demi-humans, and he told him that it may be because Ripple is also a demi-human. Miliera tells them that demi-humans have a sixth sense of telepathy, so Ripple is probably using the connection to summon them. Theodore says the hierarchy may have created her specifically as a weapon to summon beasts. Rafinha feels bad for Ripple. Theodore tells them that he feels embarrassed of the Highlanders, even though he is one of them. Ripple wakes up and tries to cheer everyone up. They continue to discuss, but Eris and Raphael interrupt them. The duo tells Theodore that a neighboring country violated their border, so Prince Wen asked them to bring him to the castle urgently. 2 weeks later, the girls are relaxing in a warm bath and are glad nothing has happened so far. They point out that only one person is sad about the peace they enjoy. They turn to look at her, and Inglis is so bored that she hasn't had any action in a while. Yua sneaks up on them, and Inglis rushes to beg her for a fight. Yua tells her that she will fight her on one condition. Inglis promises to do anything. Yua looks down at her chest and says Inglis has to teach her how to make her bosom grow to that size. Inglis is confused because that is beyond her. She asks Leone for help, but Leone tells her that she has no idea and complains that they are too heavy and draw way too much attention. Rafinha tells Leone that she is lucky. She also tells Liselotte that hers are the proper size. They continue to bicker about bosoms, and Inglis tells Lin to go try out Liselotte's bosom. That night, as they walk to their rooms, Miliera calls Rafinha to her office. She gives her a new artifact and says it is from Theodore. She tells her that he equipped the bow with a healing gift as well. She explains that it is rare and difficult to make. She says she is surprised that he had time to make something like this. Rafinha is grateful to him, but Inglis is not having any of it. Rafinha wonders why Inglis makes a face every time Theodore gets involved with her. Suddenly, they hear an explosion outside. They rush to see that the upperclassmen just finished fighting a magicite beast summoned by Ripple. They explain to Miliera what happened and tell her that Silva is badly wounded. Silva apologizes and tells them to get Ripple out of there, as he doesn't want her to see him in that shape. The other students tell her that it was Roddy's fault. They said Silva got hurt trying to protect Roddy. Rati and Prom apologize for everything, but Silva says he caused it. He didn't know that they were in the vicinity and created a pocket space with them inside. Rafinha offered to help heal him with her new artifact. She starts to heal him, and Inglis finds the artifact fascinating, but notices that healing an injured person drains mana, so she assists Rafinha with her power. Miliera thanks them and instructs the student to take Silva inside. Rafinha thanks Inglis for her help. The next day, the students are in shock as they stare at Inglis and Rafinha in the cafeteria, eating very spicy food. Rati and Prom tell them that the spicy food reminds them of home. Rati says that back in Alucard, it gets really cold, so they eat spicy food to warm themselves up. Rafinha tells Pram to join her, and Rati asks Inglis if he can join her. Pram gets jealous and stops him. They start talking about the beast attack from yesterday, and Inglis points out that he was kind of defending Rati, even though he has been rude to the others. Rafinha says he likes boys, and Pram gets frustrated, saying she can't fight off more rivals. Silva walks in and tells them to quit the assumptions. Rati and Pram apologize to him once again. He then thanks the girls and apologizes for the way he treated Inglis before. They also apologize to him. Rafinha and Silva shake hands, calling for a truce, but they stare at each other, holding hands for so long until Inglis cuts in. They leave the cafeteria after eating. Rafinha is excited that they ate a lot, but Inglis isn't happy. She says after the fight last night, they won't be seeing magicite beasts for a while. Just then, they hear Miliera shout angrily. They stop at her office, and she tells them the royal guard asked them to hand Ripple over. She tells them that they want to send Ripple back to the Highlands for an exchange. Rafinha is furious and says they can't do that. Miliera tells them that she will hold them off as much as she can. Ripple tells her that it might cause trouble for the academy. They tell Ripple not to worry about anything and promise to protect her. That night, it started raining prism flow. Leone and Liselotte walk down the hallway, talking about the rain. Liselotte tells her that Miliera is trying to buy time for Ripple, and she already sent a message to Prince Wine at the border. She also explains that since Prince Wine is away, someone may be pulling strings behind the royal guards. Suddenly, a magicite beast shows up behind them, but as Leone tries to attack it, a lightning beast kills it. The lightning beast runs away, and they chase after it as it leads them underground, where Leone is waiting. Leon cheerfully greets his sister, but Leone charges to attack him. Liselotte stops her, telling her that he is not alone. Just then, Sistia and the leader of the brigade walk out of hiding, and Leone cannot believe her eyes. Leone and Leon start fighting each other, and Liselotte tries to help her, but Sistia uses multi-space magic to hold her down. The masked man tells Liselotte that he would prefer she stay out of the fight, and calls her by her family name, making her wonder how deep their connections run. Leone continues to attack her brother furiously. She stops when he mentions that she would also lose their city, Almen. The masked man says that the royal court has decided to offer Almen to the Hierarch Highlanders to restore relations with them. He says they now feel that without the prisoner to protect the town, it is useless to them. The man tells them that Ripple will be handed over in 4 days and the Hierarch emissary will be coming in by boat. They'll attack and kill the emissary. Lieselot asks him why he told them his plans, and he says he just came to tell them to do whatever they want, but stay out of the brigade's way. They turn to leave, and Leone promises her brother that she will capture him. He tells her to do what she has to do, and he won't stop her. He commends her abilities and leaves. The girls gather everyone in the principal's office and narrate what happened. Inglis tells them that she has a plan. She tells them the plan, but Silva thinks it is reckless, and the other girls agree that Inglis always comes up with the craziest plans. 4 days later, Inglis and Rafinha dressed as maids. The first phase of her plan is for both of them to attend the party at the capital as maids and protect the emissary from the brigade. Silva complains to Miliera, as he still thinks they need a better plan. The duo reassures him that they will defeat the brigade. He reminds them to remember that they're also protecting the king and the emissary. Miliera thanks Silva for talking to his brother and helping them buy more time for Ripple. They talk about the second phase of the plan. Once the chaos in the palace starts, Silva and Miliera will feed mana to Ripple and summon the magicite beasts until none remain, and then there will be no need for her to be returned. Silva tells them he'll be counting on them. Rafinha excitedly asks him if he likes Ripple, sending him into shock, but Silva tells her no. They start to tease him about it. Silva suddenly gets emotional and says he deeply respects her. He tells them that when he was young, a beast attacked him and his runless friend, but he couldn't save his friend. The East was going to kill him, but Ripple saved him. She told him he needed to get stronger to protect more people. He told them that her words that day made him who he is today. Inglis realizes he never hated the Runeless and just wanted to protect her. Rafinha apologized for making him forget a painful memory. Inglis asks him if that is why he uses a gun artifact, and he tells her yes. He tells her that he thought it would make it easier to fight alongside her since she also uses guns. They cheer each other up and promise to carry out their plans well tomorrow, so that they can protect Ripple. The girls say they'll handle things in the capital, and Silva tells them he will do his best and end this here. Inglis mischievously tells him not to end things too soon, so that she can come back and fight too. Silva wonders just how obsessed she is with fighting. On D-Day, the girls ran around the castle pretending to be maids. They stuffed their mouths full as they worked, grinning from ear to ear. Rafinha tells her it is a shame that the food will be wasted once the attack begins, and Inglis quickly admonishes her and tells her to watch her mouth. They talk about the plan some more and go off to continue working. The king, Carius, arrives at the party, and the crowd hails him. Inglis notices his special class rune and thinks that he must not have had time to practice because she has also lived that life. The king addresses the crowd and tells them that they will be receiving a new Yerel menace. Rafinha and Inglis continue to work as they talk about the king. He then introduces them to the new emissary as he bows down to a little boy, Archlord Ivel. Rafinha excitedly says he is cute as she admires him. The king tells the guests that Lord Ivel is already a great general, even though he is young. Ivel opens his mouth and just spews on, proudly looking like a menace. The crowd is shocked by the change of attitude. Rafinha immediately regrets calling him cute. He continues to boast, and the crowd claps for him with fake smiles plastered on their faces. Evil laughs maniacally and taunts the people, calling them crazy. He continues to make fun of them and even calls them fools. The king bows down with a smile and thanks Ivel for calling them fools, and the crowd does the same as their king. Rafinha has had enough and turns away as she can't stand the sight anymore. Inglis tells her that it is getting a bit interesting. Ivel laughs and insults the king. Suddenly, the castle is attacked by magicite beasts, and Inglis handles them swiftly. The knights wonder who she is, and she tells them that she is just a maid. As she turns to talk to Rafinha, a beast almost attacks her from behind, but a power surges and kills it. She turns around and sees it was for Ivel. The knights surround the king and emissary to protect them. Suddenly, one of the knights pulls a dagger and tries to kill the emissary, but Inglis tries to stop him. Ivel tells her not to get involved. She apologizes. Ivel activates his power and slashes the knight on the face with his 2 fingers, and blood gushes out as everyone stares in shock and the man drops dead. Rafinha rushes to Inglis and cleans off the blood from her face. Rafinha reprimands Ivel. He accuses the king of trying to kill him. The king begs and says it is the Bloodchain Brigade. Ivel tells him he knows, but the king's incompetence caused it. The king falls to his knees and begs, but Ivel refuses and looks down on him, calling him names. To everyone's shock, he uses his power and cuts off the king's arm, feeling pleased with himself. The knights tried to attack, but the king commanded them to stand down. He then thanks Ivel for cutting his arms. Inglis picks up the arm and tells Rafinha to heal it. As they fix back the arm, Ivel sees them and tells them he wants another person's arm as a replacement. The king offers up his arm again, but Inglis tells Ivel to try and take hers instead. Inglis activated an ether barrier to protect herself, but she kept it low, so he couldn't see it. He slashes his finger, and to his shock, nothing happens. She taunted him and treated him like a child, making him enraged as he tried a couple of times and failed. Inglis realizes that they did something to his man, and he tells her it was mana refinement. He says she should not be able to defend it. He gets furious and uses his full power on her, but nothing happens. He demands to know who she is, but Inglis says she is a maid. Inglis continues teasing him. He tells her to fight him, making her happy, although she tries to turn him down. But the king cuts in and tells her not to fight him no matter what. He insults the king and goes on to spill the tea on the plans the Hierarch Highlanders have for the surface. He tells them that they plan to wipe their country off the map and not to make peace. Suddenly, the castle shakes from an explosion outside. A battleship docks at the castle, and Ingrid tells them it may be the Blood Chain Brigades. Yvel laughs evilly and says the rats entered right into the trap. He then reveals that he set a trap for them by using the party. He reveals that there were never going to be any peace talks, and the plan was to lure the brigade out and destroy them. Everyone is shocked that he humiliated the king for no reason. Inglis is happy. He is just a typical bad guy and asks the king what he wants to do about Yvel, and the king tells her to capture him alive. She tells Yvel that she will now take him up on the offer to fight. Inglis summons the ether, and Yvel is surprised to see that she has actual pure magic. He builds a barrier around himself and tells her to attack him. He says that she will lose an arm or a leg the moment she does. Inglis shocks him by explaining the spell he just cast. He didn't know she could see the barrier physically. She then tells him to focus the power only on one area to make it stronger, promising not to attack him anywhere else. He refuses but later agrees and does as she asks. She charges for him and uses ether to break the shield with a kick, and another kick sends him flying into space. Rafinha and the king watch, delighted. The king orders the knight to destroy the brigade so they can use it to repair relations with the Highlands. Inglis tells the king that she and Rafinha will be going to engage the brigade. Rafinha tells her she is a bit tired, but Inglis drags her by the hand as they jet off outside, and the king looks pleased with them. Later on, Inglis carries Rafinha in her arms and jumps, using flying gear as her stepping stone, to get on the landing docks on the castle. As they watch the brigade battleship fire at the knights, Rafinha tells her they need to stop the ship before it hurts more people. She fires her light bow and commands it to surround the ship. She tells Inglis to stop the ship while she stops it from shooting. Inglis tries to bring down the ship with an ether strike, but the masked man counters her attack. The men on the ship are shocked as they wonder how a maid pulled off such an attack. Inglis jokingly greets them and tells them she will be serving them. The masked man tells his men to continue the mission while he handles her. He jumps down and joins Inglis. He asks her how she plans to save Ripple, and she tells him that her friends at the academy are taking care of it. She tells him that the capital may think they stand with the brigade if they do nothing, so she came to the capital to protect the king and emissary. The masked man asks her where Yvel is, and she nervously tells him that she doesn't know, and they prepare to begin their fight. Back at the academy, Silva races in and tells them that something is happening at the castle, so they need to start the plan. Miliera tells them that anyone who doesn't want to stay can leave, and to their shock, Yua tries to leave, but Miliera tries to stop her. Silva also tries to stop her, but they end up bickering. Ripple walks in and pleads with Yua to stay. She gives an emotional speech about how she is grateful that they have been defending her. They start to talk about Inglis, and Lisalata says she must be sneezing by now. Ripple continues talking to them and tells them about the destruction of her home. By the time she finishes talking, Yua has already fallen asleep standing. Silva wakes her up, but they start bickering all over again. Miliera interrupts and tells them that it is time to begin. Leone creates the pocket space. Ripple starts absorbing mana from Miliera and Silva. She passes out, and everyone gets battle ready. Back in the castle, Inglis and the masked man had already started fighting. They keep attacking, but each person matches the other person's strength. Ingrid senses another ether flow from him, apart from the one on his body. He suddenly pulls out an ether sword, surprising Inglis because her power cannot form an ether sword yet. He charges for her, but Inglis dodges all the attacks. She tries to get close to attack him, but she is weary that the sword may touch her. She pulls her ice sword to counter the attack, and he tells her that it is no match for his sword. She only pulled it as a distraction, as she attacked him from under. He loses his balance a bit, and she strikes him with ether, but he deflects it and thinks that Inglis has gotten even stronger. Just then, Rafinha warns her that something is falling from the sky, and Yvel drops down in their middle. He angrily shouts at Inglis for kicking him into the sky. He then turns to taunt the masked man, but Inglis warns him to step away. He gets even cockier, challenging the masked man. Inglis, with a silly smile, tells them to get along and join forces to fight her. Sistia arrives in flying gear, interrupting them. The masked man asks Sistia to lend him her strength as an artifact. She agrees, and as she starts transforming, Evil tries to stop them, but he can't. Sistia turns into a huge spear covered in rainbows. Inglis is thrilled to see the exchange. The spear absorbed ether, amplifying it more. Back in the academy, the students continue to fight off magic site beasts non-stop. They are almost at their breaking point, but the beasts keep appearing. As Lisalata tries to attack her artifact and gets deactivated as she is low on mana, Leone helps her kill one of the monsters while still holding the pocket space. She also saves Yua, but she falls immediately. and the space collapses. Two giant beasts appear and almost blast them with beams, but lightning beasts save them. Leon shows up, and Leon stares at him furiously. He tells her that he is just here to help. He throws a pouch on the field, and everyone starts to feel rejuvenated. Leon says it is a mana mist his boss gave him. He tells them that the leader told him to come, help them, as he remembers the masked man giving him a speech about protecting what is important to him. Leon is still weary of him, but he assures her that he won't try anything funny and says he knows that she is glad to see him, but she firmly tells him that she is not. Leone creates pocket space once again so that they can continue. Leone touches her, and she absorbs his mana as everyone gets in position. Back on the castle wall, Rafinha and Inglis see a huge blast coming from the academy and a huge light beam in the sky, like a beacon. The scene goes back to the academy and shows everyone on the floor passing out. Leone wakes up and sees her brother holding her. He tells her to look up in shock to see a gigantic beast towering over the sky. Leone says that Ripple summoned something unbelievable. Inglis also sees the beast from her end, and she jumps in excitement, realizing it is a prismer. As the prismer howls, rainbow-colored lights emanate from its body. Rafinha looks at the academy from afar, worried, but Inglis is having the time of her life as she explodes with excitement. She tells Rafinha that it is moving around and not frozen like the one they saw in Almond. Even and the masked man tell her that the prismer has not fully formed yet. Inglis is torn between who to fight, and Rafinha pulls her by the ear and tells her that they need to go to the academy. Evel tells her to go and says the brigade leader was his target to begin with. Inglis throws a tantrum, asking them not to leave her out of the fight. Evel charges for the masked man, but he is no match for him as the spear passes through Evil's barrier with no difficulty. The masked man swiftly touches him with it at different points as he vanishes. He uses the spear to shoot fire beams, but Inglis picks Rafinha up and flees. Back at the academy, Miliera tells Leone and Lisalata to get the remaining people, who are still unconscious, out of the school grounds. Leone prepares to attack it. Miliera tells Yua to distract the prismer while she builds a barrier. Yua grumpily says she is afraid of it, and Miliera screams at her not to talk back. She puts up a barrier, and Yua walks to the beast. It growls at her as she takes to her feet and starts running around on the field while the beast is distracted. Leon attacks it with his artifact, and the beast stops moving. Yua gives him a thumbs up and goes to punch the beast while it is distracted, but she gets stuck. Leone praises her for the punch, not knowing that it did nothing to the beast. Yua points it out to him as she keeps getting sucked in. Miliera quickly activates a barrier around her, and Leon tries to blow a hole through the prismer and get Yua out. The beast shoots a light beam, and Leon tries to deflect it, but his artifact breaks into pieces. Yua gets completely sucked into the prismer. They see the light from her barrier inside the prismer. Leon activates another artifact and says that he will find a way to dig her out. Silva tells Miliera that Ripple is not absorbing his power, meaning that this is the last beast. Silva hopes that she wakes up soon to help them, but Leon doesn't think she'll be awake anytime soon. He tells him not to disturb her, as she is still too weak. Miliera tells Leon to get everyone inside a pocket space. She has to stay back because of the barrier. Leon takes them into space, leaving Leon and Miliera. She tells Leon that he is responsible for his safety. The beast prepares to fire another beam. Inglis still refuses to go back to the academy. She tells Rafinha that their friends will take care of it. The prismer fires beams inside the barrier, and they see it, but Inglis still will not go back. Sistia transforms back and tells them to go to the academy, but Inglis tries to stop them from leaving. The masked man tells her that they have achieved their goal and must leave. He says the prince seems to be growing more every second. Inglis tells him that she wants to fight him more. Sistia gives them a flying gear, and they depart. The duo flew back. Ripple wakes up inside the pocket space, and they tell her all about the prismer. She tells Leon to cancel the pocket space, and she does. Ripple runs to check up on Miliera and Leon. She attacks the beast, but it defeats her easily. Silva attacks the beast, and it quickly tries to crush him, but Ripple hits him out of the way, and it grabs her instead and starts to crush her. Silva tries to shoot it, but Leon stops him as the bullet may hit Ripple. Miliera tells them that the barrier will break soon, so they need to get the beast out of the city. Ripple shoots her way out of the prismer's hold and it drops her. Miliera uses her artifact to slow the beast down a bit. Ripple looks exhausted, but still wants to continue, and Leon tells her she needs to rest. She falls to the ground in exhaustion. Silva tells her to become a weapon for him, but she refuses. He pleads with her and narrates how she saved him when he was young. As she tries to turn him down again, she starts to transform into a weapon and tells them that she is not the one controlling it. Silva's will was drawing her in against her will. Ripple transforms into a rifle. Silva gets deluded by the power and says he can defeat anything. Leon and Miliera tried to stop him, but Silva was already blinded by power. He hits Leon out of the way and tries to shoot the prismer, but Inglis arrives in time to stop him, and Ripple transforms back. The prismer breaks Miliera's barrier and tries to shoot a light beam, but Inglis kicks it into the sky, although it is too powerful and doesn't go far. It starts to fall back down and tries to shoot several light beams into the city, but Inglis quickly kicks them all to deflect them. Inglis is having the best fun she has ever had since she was born. Milira calls her and says that this is not the time, as Yua is still inside. Inglis and the beast exchange fast blows. She continues to attack it and has fun doing it. The other just stands and stares in amazement as she dodges the prisoner's blow swiftly. She tries the ether strike, but the beast dodges it. Yua's light starts to fade. Rafinha, Leone, and Liselot help her distract the beast as they attack it from all angles. Inglis kicks it into the sky and fires a massive ether strike. The prince's body starts to break off. The others tell her to blow it off, but with a smile, she refuses, and to their shock, she pushes up towards keeping the beam steady with one hand. She casts another beam, Ether Breaker, which punches a hole through the prismer, destroying it as it explodes with a massive light and disappears. The students can't believe that it is gone. Inglis jumps down from a flying gear, carrying a passed-out Yua in her arms and a smile on her face. They all cheer and commend her. They continue to talk about it as Leon quietly turns to leave. Leon sees him and just stares at him for a bit before he walks off. The girls say they need to eat, but to their shock, Miliera tells them that the cafeteria was blown away. Several days later, the students are seen clearing out debris from the academy, and Yua and Silva continue to bicker. Liselot looks around for Inglis and Rafinha, and Leone tells her they went to the royal court because the king summoned them. At the palace, Ripple and Inglis discuss the fight. Ripple tells her that she seemed to have known why she needed to stop Silva from firing. Inglis asks her if that was how the connection between a holy knight and a Hiral menace is, hinting that it would have killed him. She says she finally realized why Eris was uncomfortable when she met Rafinha. Ripple tells her not to say a word about it to Rafinha. Inside the royal court, the girls kneel before the king as he commends them for their help. He then praises Inglis for defeating evil and chasing the Blood Chain brigades. To her shock, he tells her she will be leading the country's knights and declares her the new head of the royal guard. The girls are not happy about the announcement. Rafinha is disappointed as she realizes that Inglis won't be with her anymore. Inglis stood up and thanked the king, but turned down the offer, leaving everyone in utter shock. As they leave the royal court, she tells Rafinha that she already promised to be by her side, so turning down the offer does not bother her. Rafinha teases her, saying that the real reason is that she won't get to fight on the front lines. Rafinha and Inglis pledge to be friends forever. The kings meet them in the hallway and lead them to the banquet hall filled with food, and the duo stuffs their faces full.